My name is Cornelia, and I'm going to be talking about passage 2. The summary of the passage is that it occurs in Act 1 after the girls have been seen dancing around the forest, and they have been accused of witchcraft and dealing with the devil. The controlling idea of the passage is that Goody Nurse and Proctor have predicted the mass hysteria and are trying to contain it and therefore stop the Salem witch trials. The three main effects are the stage direction, sentence structure, and foreshadowing. On lines 29 to 30, Rebecca Nurse is predicting the mass hysteria and trying to keep the society calm before the hysteria erupts. And on lines 20 to 21, Proctor's also come to the realization that people are blaming others of pure hatred instead of them being guilty, and is trying to explain it to Putnam. On the other hand, on lines 9 to 10, Mrs. Putnam is showing that she does not trust Goody Nurse, even though she's an authority figure, meaning that she is helping cause the mass hysteria that is about to erupt. And then for the sentence structure, throughout the passage, it helps build tension as most lines are short because stigomythia is being used, except Rebecca Nurse's, which causes emphasis on the message that she's trying to convey, which is that the situation needs to calm down, otherwise mass hysteria will erupt. Then lastly, the stage directions. In the beginning, Paris says that it says that Paris is wondrous and relieved, which means that he is thinking about what would potentially happen, and the relationship that's going on in the passage is between the church and the government, as the government is based on the laws of the Bible, and if the devil is mentioned, the person that is being accused of the devil being in them has to be cleansed by the priest. And the context of the passage connects to the Red Scare and McCarthyism, which is the part of the author's context. These connect as both McCarthyism and the Crucible. People blame others with no real evidence, and mass hysteria is a leading factor throughout.
Okay, we're finished.
Yeah.
All right. You mentioned Rebecca Nurse's lines being longer than most of the other lines in the passage.
Yes.
Can you just tell us how does that reflect her standing within the community?
It reflects her standing in the community as she is an authority figure. She's trying to further explain the situation as the others in the society tend to trust her, and the others have shorter lines, always using stigomythia, but hers are longer as, again, she's trying to further explain for them to really understand what is going to happen as she is predicting and foreshadowing what is about to happen with the mass hysteria.
In terms of sticking with Rebecca and looking at line sort of 25, so towards the end of the passage, she says, "This will set us all to arguing again in the society. And we thought to have peace this year."
Yes.
How does that help us to understand the context of the actual blaming or the accusations themselves that occur later on? Let me rephrase. Why do you think Miller includes that line in this passage?
I think Miller includes the line because it's trying to show how Rebecca is giving advice and doesn't want the society to fall back on empty arguments and not trusting each other, and possibly that would have happened before, as she says again and not she mentions the word again.
And why is it important that we as readers or viewers of the play understand that conflict and arguments have happened before?
I think that's important, as the society seems to be quite weak, as people easily, when this happens, they easily come to that point where they are just pointing at someone and saying and blaming them, instead of giving an easy argument. That means that there must have been some sort of tension before that has caused something. For example, possibly with the land being used, but that's an important part, as it is very weak and the situation is very vulnerable, and anything can just any part can really have a really big effect on it. Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned that Rebecca and Proctor seem to be voices of reason, whereas Putnam and Mrs. Putnam voices of hysteria.
Yes.
Where do you think Paris fits in terms of that?
Paris is part of it, as he does go throughout the play, he goes through quite a character development. He starts in the beginning with standing with the church and really believing everything that they believe, but so that's what he's doing in this, as he's talking about not wanting people to look for the devils in line 17 and such. But then later he comes to the realization that he's made mistakes, and that people shouldn't be hanged for just being accused. But he stands with the Putnams as
where in the passage do we get the feeling that he is siding himself with the Putnams?
As he's mentioning that the devil is among them in line 13, and he wants to call Reverend. He wants to call the Reverend, instead of doing what Rebecca is saying and just trying to calm the situation.
Okay. Do you have anything else that you would like to add?
No.
Okay. Thank you very much.